Hi, Abby. It's I'm not sure what's happened to the other attendees. I did have a few people cancel on me, but I was expecting a few more. But anyway, no problem. I'm happy to. I'll get going, and then we'll see if people join. So I'm Chris Whitaker. I'm the program manager for the Young Leaders in Cricket program, and really, I just wanted to run through the program itself, exactly what's involved with it, and to talk through the various elements of it. So mainly what I'm going to talk about are life skills, leadership skills, and volunteering, and how they come together into a package to make young people effective volunteers at their clubs or schools, or hopefully in the community in the long term. So it's trying to pull all those different ideas together, and then deliver a course that's going to provide all the right sort of skills. And looking at people who I think embody a lot of the when we're talking about leadership skills in particular is someone like Virat Kohli. I've always kind of followed him quite closely just because I like the way he plays, but also the way that he used to skipper. He was very much a player who wore his heart on his sleeve, and always kind of pushed the boundaries, as it were, but always within the framework of you know playing hard but playing fair. And some of the things he mentioned, I saw a really good interview with him, and he talked about how leadership for him was about a lifestyle, and it was a daily commitment to his values, and the way that he led by example, by exhibiting those values. And he talked about you can be smart, but and good at your tactics, but it's still leadership is kind of a way more complicated than that. It's about building relationships and about bringing a team together. And cricket's unique in as much as it's a sport that's as reliant on an individual performing as it is on a team coming together and delivering as a group. It's highly unusual in that way. And I've always thought long and hard. And I think the only other sport I can think of where one player can have that much influence, essentially can win the game on their own, is possibly baseball. But a batter or a bowler can actually win a game if they deliver a sort of great performance. But also teams that are great as some of their parts are just as effective and can perform just as well. And he talks about, I like the humility as well, where he said, well, I always learn from other people and how they go about doing it. And it takes someone who's kind of self-aware to be able to do that. And then his favorite one was, it's not a dictatorship. And certainly when you look around the world, there's some world leaders who might take that to heart. It's about, again, about expecting, if you're expecting the others to follow you, you've got to give them good examples about why they should. So I thought he embodied all the kind of right leadership skills, certainly for sort of audience that I'd be talking to. And then diving into the life skills. So this is drawing them out of the game. And cricket has a number of them inbuilt in the way that it's set up and structured, and the nature of the game itself. Uh, Teamwork clearly is an obvious one, but things like resilience, and that's probably true for all sport. To be successful or to enjoy it, more importantly, the sport you're playing, resilience is a big part of it. And cricket in particular sometimes demands some fairly tough resilience when you might be getting out for a duck week after week or getting smashed all over the park. It's about how you come back from that and how you kind of think about ways of improving yourself. So we deliver a module specifically aimed at mental resilience. And we did introduce that after COVID, because the sort of age group that we work with, it hit them really hard, and we felt, that this would be a way of giving them some self-reflection and ways that they could deal with difficulties. And then and all these life skills are very much, again, targeted at creating a volunteer who's going to be someone who's going to have these kind of skills to be able to use, and all of them are very transferable. And that's was one of our really big aims, is to make whatever you took out of this transferable into all other walks of life. So just anybody who can coach, or anybody who can manage themselves and show responsibility, is going to be successful in whatever walk of life they're in. So handling pressure, that kind of thing, is also the important bit. And then I said about building relationships and showing leadership. Again, all great traits to have. So when, again, this was the ECB published this probably last year or maybe the year before. And when they did, I was keen to see, did we fit into what their vision of cricket's core values were. And I was very glad to see that 16 years ago, when we started the program, we were trying to embed these core values right from the start. Certainly we've always run it on respect. It's about, the coaches and the tutors working in a manner that's inclusive and, embraces the young people and understands what they're trying to get out of the program, and about doing that in an enjoyable way. So the way that we set up the training is to deliver it in a way that's going to be enjoyable on all different kinds of levels. Same with the building belonging, because again, because of the nature of the game and it's played over a period of time, it's also very much about building social relationships, and creating friendship networks. That's one of the absolutely great things about the game. So one thing I absolutely love, is that every week I can get together with a group of people that I enjoy spending however many hours it is together, and come together for a common cause. So again, the program is aimed at what is a community of people, which are volunteers, to bring them together to share kind of ideas and enjoyment about the fact that they are volunteering. And we build purpose into it. So it's a progression in terms of the modules that they do, and what they achieve by the end of them. So this is a little bit of a kind of précis of what I've been talking about, but essentially it was about trying to keep young people engaged in the game. When we started it, there was an absolute dearth of young volunteers, and it was very difficult to encourage them into the volunteering space. So when we went out and kind of talked to them, because it was a couple of us, or three of us, who set it up, and we went and kind of did a little vox pops at our clubs and asked, look, what's going to get you interested in volunteering? And the kind of resonating pushback that we had was, well, we don't know what to do, and we'd like to know how to do it. So that kind of got us thinking about, well, let's give them the skills. Let's do that on the basis that they're going to volunteer, and then go from there. So that was the kind of genesis, if you like, of the program. And we were keen that we kept them involved, because club life is very much about having the different generations that all come together. And again, cricket has a very special relationship with that. You can play until you as old as I am, from the age of 8 or 9. So there's a long time span, and it's a great way of pulling all those different generations together. And part of that's the volunteering side of it. was also really, it was again something that struck us when we started it, was about the makeup of the base of volunteers. It was almost exclusively old white men, essentially, of which I was one. Um, so, if the game was going to grow, and it did, fortunately, this was just the kind of dawn of girls coming into cricket, the game broadening in terms of its ethnic diversity, which has just been, the biggest and best thing that's happened to the game, because literally we were dying on our feet. So in order to make sure that the game was being run by the people, that it was representing, we needed to have those different communities getting involved. So, if you're looking long term, these are the people you want to be going into administration, taking the roles on in the leagues, becoming involved in the business of running the game. And thankfully, that is what's happening. So, our program is kind of, if you like, mirrored the growth of the game in terms of the kind of percentages of girls to boys, and as I said, and broadening the ethnic diversity within the game. We did also want to make the program as sustainable as possible. So, i.e., not have to go out and look for external funding. We did get some funding in the initial part of it, but we quickly came to realize that we would spend too much of our time trying to get the funding rather than actually running the program. So I'll explain to you a little bit later how we do that. And this is the program. This is what's embedded in it. So there are 4 face-to-face modules, and there are 3 online modules. And as I said, they're all about self-development, and they're all about those transferable skills. And we've taken the values of leadership and the particular life skills that are characteristics of cricket, mostly which I've talked about already. But certainly there are, the game itself is and this is unique to cricket. It has the very first law of the game is the spirit of cricket. It's about how the game is played. Other sports don't have it. It's not actually written into their laws or into their rules, and that does set us apart. And whilst, of course, there's a lot of playing around the edges and overstepping of the mark and that kind of thing, generally, and certainly at the recreational level, that adherence to the spirit of cricket is really important, and that's again an ethic and an ethos that we would hope to encourage amongst the youngsters who come on the program. And like I said, it's becoming part of a great community with a shared enthusiasm, and that's the volunteering element. In terms of the learning and the kind of grandly might put it, CPD, we do try and open it up to other sort of, if you like, relatable topics to cricket, and environmental awareness is certainly one of those. I'll explain when I talk about the groundskeeping module why and how, cricket impacts a lot on the environment, but also how we can contribute to it as well. And then there are other things like looking at the business of cricket and talking about some advanced type of coaching techniques, that kind of thing. So I get external people that I've built up relationships and contacts with who come in and do that for me. And also just to say, it's a couple of us who run the program with some other helpers, but in the main, it's 2 of us who donate a lot of our management time to running the program. So we like it, for it to be run by volunteers rather than just being a big business setup. So the training, okay, this is how it's broke down. As I said, the 4 face-to-face modules and the 3 online ones, and they're broken up into segments of about 2.5, 3 hours each. And the idea is we do a training on 3 of the modules on one day, and then the fourth face-to-face one is the groundskeeping one, which really is only deliverable probably from May time. So we run that on its own, but we try and do it as a part of an event. Okay, so at a game where the young people can kind of actually see what it's like, pre-match preparation and that kind of stuff. So we get that organized and we get everybody together for those. So the four face-to-face are there's the young activator, the coaching for cricket, sorry, the officiating for cricket, the groundskeeping, and the first aid. And the first aid, it's first aid awareness, and the groundskeeping, that's got the environmental awareness into it. The young activator is the coaching element of it, and then the young officials is the officiating rather than umpiring, and I'll talk about the difference in that. So these are the dates that we're going to run them. They're running the Easter holidays. Each week there'll be an opportunity for you to go on one of the days with those 3 modules on it. And the next delivery point is the May half term. So it'll be the same during the May half term. There'll be another opportunity for you to attend. And then the third one will be, or the fifth one, will be in the summer holidays, so the start of the summer holidays. But those are really kind of the mop-up courses, because ideally, if the young people can get the training in those first 2 slots, then they've got a bit more time to do their volunteering, which I'll talk about how that works. So just a quick overview. So the young activator, as I said, that's related to coaching, and it's about and why this is so massively important is that with the birth of All Stars, okay, and this again was a huge, if you like, long-term survival plan for the game, and it's worked out really well. That we're attracting a lot more youngsters into the game from that sort of 5-6-year-old group, and that's what All Stars was developed for and is aimed at. But it requires a lot of helping out the helpers, the young coaches to deliver that, and which again was when we started. All Stars had just started or was just about to start, so we were kind of in the right place at the right time in terms of training up young people to be able to coach, support this kind of activity. But why it's so important for a club is when you've got those young 5, 6, 7-year-olds coming in, a lot of them have not had ever attended a formal training session before. So having a young 14, 15, 16-year-old as the first person they're going to see is far the most, in terms of having a role model and somebody that you're going to be able to have a relationship with and not feel intimidated by. They are very much the ideal candidate. So they played a really important role, because we want those young people coming back week after week, and their first point of engagement needs to be one that's really going to engage them with the game and keep them there. So that's what we kind of tutor. That's the way that we tutor the course. It's about the what to and the how to, and the what to is the technical side of it, if you like, but the how to is the important bit. That's where the life skills come in. It's about good communication. It's about, like I said, that relationship building. It's about using the right sort of inclusive language to be able to make sure that every kid, no matter what its ability, young child's ability is like, they're going to be included in the session and going to make progress in the session. So where it says module 1 and 2, that's how we split it up over the that particular course that we do. So that's delivered in that one day. And the same with the officiating side of it. So whilst it's called young umpires, it's actually young officials. the umpiring would be the next stage on. It's about working with, again, those junior scenarios, and that's going to be the forms of cricket, pairs cricket, continuous cricket, clock cricket, all the other um, the other formats of the game that are played at junior level, and it's being able to manage those, officiate them in as much as being able to score and set them up and deliver them in the kind of format that they should be delivered in. But it's also about making decisions. Like I said, it's the decision making, and this is where the self-organization and the being responsible comes in. And it then sets them up to go on to the more traditional, if you like, umpiring side of the game and the scoring side. We will also offer two online modules that they can do entirely of their own volition. It's not a mandatory part of our course. They're just online scoring and online sort of introduction to umpiring courses that they can do if they're interested in kind of going on to the next level with it. First aid. So this is about giving them the awareness to be able to deal with an incident. It's not going to be turning them into a first responder or anything like that. It's literally being able to manage a situation, which effectively is ensuring the person is kind of looked after and made comfortable. But it's also about getting the right people there as quickly as possible. It's really to, if you like, make them aware of what that this might happen, and they would have the competence to be able to deal with it. Using the defibrillators these days, it's very counterintuitive, and they're set up to be able to basically just respond to instruction. But it does take somebody who's got a cool head to make sure that it gets located, it's brought to where it needs to be as quickly as possible, and that's the sort of training. Then they're given basic training on kind of being able to make the person comfortable and that kind of things. It's a great societal skill, to be honest, because the more first aid aware people we have out there, the better. It just is for wider society. And our young leaders have actually on occasions turned up and fronted up, if you like, and made a big difference in a couple of situations. They did actually were the difference between the person getting the right sort of help at the right time. Certainly in the one case, they probably saved the person's life. So anything that we can do to enable young people to be able to handle situations and feel that they've got the confidence to be able to do that, because hopefully that's what the program gives them. The groundskeeping one, and as I said, this is where we've kind of woven in the environmental awareness side, and why that's important. So clearly, preparing good surfaces for our sport is hugely important. It's what makes an enjoyable game of cricket or a rubbish game of cricket, basically. So we give them the technical knowledge to understand how it's done, and the sorts of methods that are employed to do it, and how they can help. Okay, and any club groundskeeper is very happy to welcome helpers to give them more time, basically, to concentrate on the speciality side, which is being able to really produce a wicket that's going to meet everybody's expectations. That's almost impossible, but they do try every week to do that. But the environmental awareness side is, we do have an impact on the environment in quite a big way, because we're managing big spaces, and we're using methods that aren't always in tune with the environment and the way that it's looked after. So it's kind of learning about what are methods that we could start to introduce that perhaps like, for example, using growth agents that are not chemically based, but are rather bio-based, that kind of thing. And we do have a big opportunity because we're played in, lovely wide open spaces with a lot of the environment right there with us. And we can make a difference in terms of the biodiversity, which is something that can massively benefit and, constantly help improve. So we all have, we played behind normally a lot of trees, a lot of shrubs, a lot of things. And this is just to try and get young people engaged with having the discussions at the club about how can we improve our environment. And a lot of clubs have taken it on and have actually made it beneficial, not just for, the environmental element of it, but in terms of the way the club looks and what that gives for the members. So, yeah, I won't give a whole long speech about this, but it's something I'm personally very engaged with and involved with. So we do, as I said, offer a bit of additional training if they want it on that front. But at its core, it's about preparing a surface and understanding what a good surface looks like. That helps them with their game too, because clearly, if they understand what the good surface looks like, and if they're in a role of a skipper or anything like that, they can make a perhaps slightly more informed decision about how they're going to play. I do want to mention that, so all these modules have got pathways into other opportunities and more, depending on what's of interest. So if it's coaching, there are the next level, and all the county boards offer coach support worker modules, and then beyond that onto kind of level 1, level 2, and going up into the coaching pathway. Similarly with the officiating ones. Groundskeeping too. Groundskeeping now has moved on just massively in the last 10, 15 years, in that it's now part of it's got a proper curriculum and a proper if you like, learning agenda set around. So it is now offered in a lot of colleges as a fully full-blown subject. And it has pathways then into the sort of wider commercial world, and all of them are ones where you can earn a bit of pocket money. So if you're a young person and you've got those summers when whatever you've gone into, if it's vocational training or academic into higher education, or even if you've gone straight into the job market, having an opportunity during the summer to be able to either earn some money as a coach or an umpire or in the groundskeeping world, it's a nice way to earn that little bit of extra money you're going to need at college or wherever it is that you're at. So I talked about how we wanted to keep the program as sustainable as we could. So we came up with this idea of breaking it down into 2 parts. So a subscription fee to join it, but a fundraising initiative to cover the rest of the costs. And the fundraising part, again, has got any number of great skills in it. Again, communication, project planning, event management, being able to organize an event, working with a group of other people. So we thought the fundraising would offer that, but also give us the chance to project cricket, which again has always had a very good reputation about fundraising for wider causes. So the way that we set this up is we ask the young people to come together, run a fundraiser, but run it for a cause of their choice, and that could be a project at the club, but it's all other types of charitable causes. We support 2, which are Cardiac Risk in the Young and the Ruth Strauss Foundation, which clearly kind of sit within our orbit of the age group that we work with. So they give us the first 70 of the money that they raise, each candidate, and then whatever extra they raise would go to the cause. So it gives it a purpose, and it gives it a kind of a wider has a wider reach, if you like, than just the program, but looking at the bigger causes. So yeah, that's kind of just a quick sum up of it. We do absolutely recommend they work as a group, because that's where you're going to learn the bits about leadership and taking on a role, taking it on responsibly, and then having all those other skills to be able to deliver it. And when they do, they get such a buzz out of it. And I'll show you some of the kind of ideas that they have, and I'm always completely blown away by some of the ideas that they come up with. And what it does mean is, as I say, it means we can offer it then the program again the next year to more young people and get more young volunteers trained up. So over the time, we've trained up something like 3,500 young people in using this program. So we feel quite proud about that, but we also kind of understand that the program does work. And out of those 3,500 people, they've all delivered their 20 hours of volunteering. So you're talking a lot of volunteering hours being given. Okay, so in terms of the fundraising, so lots of different kinds of ideas, and they've raised for all kinds of causes, ranging from girls' charities in Kenya, which was something that they felt was, those two young girls there felt was something that was really close to their heart, and they wanted to get involved with it, to running bingo nights, to raising money for British Heart Foundation, or lots of different cancer charities that young people have engaged with, and using all kinds of ideas. Quite a few of them run days sort of coincided with their President's Day at the club, and then run a fundraising program alongside that. So yeah, we leave it to their creative imagination to come up with the ideas, but we do give them the training. So that the online course is the one about fundraising. It's a workshop, and it's delivered by someone who's very experienced in this area, and gives them all the tactics and the kind of the framework, if you like, on how to fundraise and how to do it in a kind of enjoyable way. So in terms of what we expect and what the young leaders should expect from us and the parents, this is primarily it. We talk about enjoyment in there. We talk about delivering something that's worthwhile for them and engaging, so that they feel that they're getting something from it that's going to help them in terms of their self-development. And in return, we ask for the commitment to attend the courses, to do the volunteering. So we ask for 20 hours of volunteering, and that's delivered over the course of the summer, right up until the end of October. So there are lots of opportunities, and 20 hours is, that's delivering a couple of sessions over a few weeks. But we hope, obviously, that they're going to do a lot more than that. And when we do, on average, most young leaders do around 35, 40 hours. So hopefully they do seem to enjoy it and get involved with it. And what we do ask is that, and we set this up, it's a pledge that we ask the young person, the parent, and whoever's providing the volunteering hours to commit to sign up as a support structure for the young person, so that they know that somebody's got their back, parent, guardian, or carer, and will get them to the courses. Also, just give them a bit of motivation and a bit of encouragement, and then the young person, as I say, commits to come on the courses, and then whoever's offering the volunteering hours, it's to make sure that they are hours that are made. The young people are made aware of the hours and what they can do around the club. So it's a nice little three-way support structure. So the Enthuse meeting we're doing now, then it's the pledge which you'd be asked to, and if you want to read it, it's on the website, but they'll ask you on Spond to agree to it. If you go look under the resource pages, you'll find it there. So sign up, you activate your account at the same time, which is through Spond. You get invited onto Spond, and that's the way that we do all the communications with you. So there are just some comments from last year. I'm not going to read them. You can have a quick read of them. But essentially, they say pretty much the same thing. It's about the enjoyment, I think, and the sort of journey that's I hate that expression, but the journey that the young people go through and during the course of the program, and how they develop themselves as young people. Yeah, no, clearly it resonates with the most, and we do get a lot of comments. Fortunately, 99% of them are positive. So, it kind of also helps us, if you like, improve it where we can, but it also gives us some verification that we're doing the right thing. So that's it. In terms of, as I say, in terms of the comms, that's done with Spond. So we communicate, we put the modules up on there. The online ones they'll be starting next week or the week after, sorry, and run for, right up until everybody's basically had a chance to attend. So they run weekly over the course of the next few months. They'll be, by the end of May, we've delivered all of them. Yeah, and they're an hour long. The safeguarding ones are about 40 minutes, and make it as easy as possible for the young people to attend in the evenings. So that's it. If you've got any questions, please either just chuck them in the chat, or I can unmute you if you want to have a quick chat. Is that